Let's talk about Justin, one of the longest standing members of Fractional Sales Consulting. And over the course of 8 months working together, we took his offer from $350 to $400,000 a month, all the way up to $1 million in one single month. But what was different with Justin is his journey had a lot less to do with the tactical business strategy and acumen, as it had to do more to do with his ability and skills as a leader and being able to get more out of the existing team that he had. So come along with us in today's video as we talk about exactly what that journey looked like, and not only what he learned, but what his biggest breakthroughs were in getting the business to that point. I'll see you guys there.
Okay, what's going on, guys? Caleb here, and I'm on with Justin. Justin, how are you?
Good man. How about yourself?
Doing very well, doing very, very well. And especially with the fact that today we are meeting because Justin, I believe you joined us 8 months ago as part of the FSC program. Now, you came into it not necessarily, you did have the intention of wanting to do the FSC stuff, but I think we found most of our traction with just where you were at in your development as a manager. And believe it or not, I think, well, for anybody watching this from the time, where were you at revenue wise when you were starting with your offer? And then I think you just told me something interesting as a fact of where you're at now, having gone through the process.
I think when we first started together, our biggest month to date was just under 400K rev.
hmm
And
hmm
and this month, well, we got one day left of the month and we're about to touch 1 mil.
Yeah.
So pretty big turnaround.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, kudos to you on that part. And today we're going to jump into really what that journey looked like. I think internally and externally, skills and things you're able to apply to be able to get there. So, but let's take it back to the beginning. I mean, for anybody who's kind of curious, like what was kind of your situation prior to even having found myself, and what even led to that consideration?
Sure, man. So basically the offer I'm on now, I hopped on board about a year and a half ago, and I was
hmm
the sole closer, the
hmm
main salesperson that come in. Up to that point, the business owner had been selling himself.
hmm
So, I basically helped scale, grow the business. Eventually came to the point of having to start to build a team around me because there's only so many calls that I could take per day
hmm
myself. And naturally, with more interest, more lead flow, we needed to bring more people in to facilitate that and keep growing revenue.
hmm
So, by that point, especially after launching paid ads, it was like, okay, we need to scale quickly and build a team quickly.
Yeah.
So hence I moved into more of a management position
hmm
and thought to seek out a coach to get support in that because, first time doing that, wanted to make
hmm
sure that I was doing things as best as I could be and making no mistakes along the way.
Yeah, yeah. And I think like right prior to finding me too, like how were you feeling as a manager? Was it something that you kind of felt grounded in and just kind of wanted to polish off the edges? Was it an overwhelming experience, or where would you say you were at when you were kind of in the heat of it?
Look, I've worked in high performing sales teams in the past. So I had like a general concept of what it should look like, what it should look like to manage a team and how to create a high performing sales team.
hmm
But that was without having actually been in those shoes myself, right?
hmm
So, I had that image of what I felt that things should be like, but
hmm
I didn't quite know how to put it all together, right? I didn't
Yeah.
have the systems and structures in place. So, I felt good, but I still wanted to have something else to really show me, what exactly I need so that we
hmm
can make sure that we're, getting to our goal as quickly as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And were your goals back then 1 million a month, or what was kind of your initial target that you were seeing for yourself?
Other goal is always million a month.
hmm
Absolutely. But
hmm
in progression, right? So, back then we were like obviously before, coming on with yourself, we're
hmm
able to hit that 400K. I
hmm
was like, just under 300K cash collected as well. But in order to actually get to where we are now, it needed, different way of thinking, better systems
Yeah.
in place, and obviously the team to be able to do it.
Yeah, and I was gonna say on that, what was maybe that like breaking point where you were like, okay, I think like, obviously I think you're very self-aware because you had had even sales coaches and people prior from what you had told me. But what was like, okay, how did you know that this was the place to be for it?
Look, could have figured it out myself along the way, right? Like we speak to our prospects daily, like everyone
Hmm.
could do what they're looking to do on their own.
Hmm.
But for me, it was a case of, like you said, like having invested into, sales coaching programs in the past. For me, this was very much the same, right? I needed to invest into something from a management perspective to learn the skills to be able to be the best manager that I can be.
Yeah.
So, I guess what attracted me to yourself was, I could see clearly that, you're someone who's walked the walk. Like you've achieved what
Hmm.
I'm looking to achieve. It's quite evident through like having watched your content and seeing what you're about, like you systemize and you have a process in place
Hmm.
that clearly I needed for myself to implement to the team in order to actually help us get to where we want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 1,000%. And it's interesting, having, seen across so many different info accounts. I think there was so many things as well that were well set up as purely just, businesses like I think the ones you're part of is mostly an execution risk. So I'd probably argue that this situation, and it's usually a judgment call, coaching type of thing that's needed. Granted, we brought process in as well. But I think with that, yeah, what were your expectations? And then how were they kind of met and matched during the program or surpassed? Like what were your what was your take on that?
Expectations, man, was really just to, like I said, like just have proper systems in place, like a bit of structure,
Mhm,
right? Like rather than it being just kind of like a fluid process of, general meetings here and there and
mhm,
a general style of coaching and keeping the team accountable, we're able to actually, say, okay, yeah, every single week, this is what your daily routine should look like. These are the tasks
mhm,
that you should be doing as a manager. This is what it should look like for each salesperson from a accountability perspective and what they need to
mhm,
be doing as far as like a data tracking as well as their daily tasks to perform
mhm.
as best as they could. So it was just putting that structure in place.
Yeah.
And from there, once we had that, it was about continuing to scale and grow through, pushing the ad spend,
Mhm,
um, as well as, continuing to bring on the right people that can actually convert. And, when they weren't converting, I guess going through like how to actually, bring up their performance to where they
yeah.
need to.
Yeah. No, 1,000%. And then I think in that, maybe if you could, like, looking back over the journey, because we were together for a while. For context, anybody watching this, it was 8 months. You had done 2 full cycles. Um, Maybe what do you feel were kind of your biggest insights, takeaways, breakthroughs that you felt, along the way?
I guess just understanding like that. I guess that mental shift from being like closer
Mhm,
to manager, right?
mhm,
Because there's transferable skills. There's definitely a bit of alignment in that sense, but it's also a different way of thinking. It's going from focusing
mhm,
on like a very selfish role towards a role where you're focusing on helping others achieve
mhm.
that same kind of success, which in turn obviously helps you, right?
Yeah.
So just the mental shift of like, okay, I've got other people in the team that I need to look after now. I've also got a business that
Mhm,
I'm responsible for as well, largely responsible for in
mhm.
terms of the end outcomes here.
Yeah,
So just giving that having that confidence to be able
yeah.
to lead the team the way that we needed to actually help us achieve our goals.
1,000%. And I think one thing you did really good with is, I mean, obviously, like your kind of the way that you approach, I think thinking of being coachable is one of the biggest things. But I remember one thing that I felt like we hit on or was a shift in that as well is I think like how you'd worded it. I mean, sales is very much a me and mine, like my production. And I think one of the biggest challenges I've seen with most high performing salespeople that find their way into management is they can't understand why. other people aren't high performers like themselves, and why some things that seem so obvious and routine they just don't do routinely, and why their performance is sometimes very variable. But I think more importantly, knowing to not take that personally, and also having appropriate expectations of when you're a manager. It's not a Your sales admin's not something you fix. You never just tell them to do it once and it's done, and you can't kind of set that expectation because it will
Mm,
almost never be met or matched. But it's very much a gradual art of keeping everybody doing the right things always, and just accepting that that's part of it. And then also, I think knowing that you can't make everybody a high performer as well. Some people, I remember during our last meet, some people have it, and you just kind of have to ride that wave and bank and profit on that as much you can. Some people you can give it, but they have to really want it. But you can't make the whole team you. You have to work with the team that you're given a lot of the time, and know how to kind of stay grounded in accepting that he's like this, they're like that, he's our top producer. And if anybody's gonna like stir that pot, it's not you willfully saying, "Hey, you need to be better." It's knowing how to foster and see when someone comes to you. So, but yeah, I remember that being as my biggest breakthrough. And I thought, I think working with you, that was kind of the place that it had landed, where just knowing how to solve problems. And then I think another thing you touched upon there, is just the business thinking piece, realizing that it's more than just like, hey, it's just not just about getting this next deal over the line, but how do we get everybody in check and going in the right direction? So, but yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Well, and biggest breakthroughs. What are kind of plans and ambitions for the future now that you've crossed the million a month? Well, not yet. We're one sale away from million rev per month,
We'll,
more than
we'll,
2x. So,
we'll definitely do it today. But um, man, just well, first and foremost, obviously continuing to replicate what we've done this month
hmm
within the company, and obviously grow from there.
hmm
Building something that's sustainable, creating impact. Obviously,
hmm
for all the new clients that we're onboarding, and just continuing to grow from there. But obviously with the experience and the learnings that I've taken over the last 8 months or so, it's given me the confidence to be able to go out and do this again. Right. Like if
hmm
I was to start again, there's many different things that I've learned.
hmm
And I guess I'm excited about the fact that I could go out and help another business from the ground up, and help
hmm
scale them to pretty sizable organization, which is
Oh
pretty
yeah.
cool. So
No, arguably it'll probably take half the time, or if anything, 40% less of the time. Because I mean, I'm doing this now, maybe not to the million a month scale with any one of our clients in particular, but working with the number of clients that I have, yeah, you just move so much quicker, and you just kind of know how to get things into place and set the ship in motion faster. So that in of itself, but it's power versus force. It's going from one of you to a team of you, and then keeping everybody feeling inspired. So, um, now, what would you say for anybody who's a skeptic, maybe is sitting on the fence, considering either coaching with me or even becoming part of the program?
good, good question. Well, you can think about it all you want, right? But it's action that's actually going to get you results, right? So I wouldn't be saying to anyone, try and find the perfect coach, or the right program for you. Look at someone who's actually done what you're looking to achieve, see whether
Mhm,
or not they've been able to help other people do it, and that's all you need to know, right? Just pull the
mhm,
trigger and get out there and make it happen. And obviously, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't believe in yourself, and that you
mhm,
were capable of helping me achieve what I wanted to achieve. So
mhm.
that should be enough for anyone watching this, right?
Yeah, you would think, right? But we both work in sales, and not everyone does what they know that they need. But yeah, no, but that's been incredible. I really appreciate it. And likewise, I would say, I mean, yeah, you really did earn all the success that you have, like without a doubt. I mean, you showed up consistently, you implemented everything, and you were just willing to learn. But I mean, that's a commonality of everyone that sees success. And so, but it's as simple, common sense isn't always common. But with that, I mean, it's been an incredible 8 months, more than a 2x from 400,000 rev to a million rev, because 4 over 2 would be 8. So a little bit more than that. Pretty good place to be. You're now probably top 1% as far as offers or businesses go. And all of Oz, quite frankly, $1 million a month puts you in an upper echelon. So, yeah. And all kind of spearheaded by yourself, to think that, you dropped it tomorrow, left the business, who knows what would happen. So, But yeah, um, sweet. But yeah, any last closing words or notes?
No, man, I think we've pretty well covered it, and it just feels good to be in a place like this, right? Like that sense of
Hmm.
accomplishment
Hmm.
personally, but also for yourself. Like I'm sure it's a good feeling to have played a
Yeah,
role in this, and it's very much appreciated from my side. So to anyone watching this, it's definitely worth having a coach in terms of anything that you're looking to get on board with. But if you are someone that's looking to get on board with sales consulting or step into a more management role, I'd highly recommend someone like yourself to be there to support in that.
yeah, 1000%. Appreciate that. Well, and following the recommendation, if you guys are watching this and are curious to become part of FSC, or if you're a sales manager looking to upskill yourself as well, somewhere around this video, depending on where you'll see, there should be a button to schedule a call with myself where we can see how we can help you out. And with that, you heard it here first. And Justin, it's been a pleasure. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.
Likewise, man. Cheers.